Hey everybody, in this video of Tea with Tash, I want to talk about how to prepare for an ultrasound. So of course, every ultrasound can be entirely different depending on how far along you are in pregnancy and also where you live and where you're going, if it was requested or if it was not requested. There's a lot of factors involved, but I'm going to take the example of a dating ultrasound, so around 6 to 8 weeks, and the first thing that I want to talk about, so I'll be going through 5 tips, but my intro to this in terms of how to prepare is that I know how someone gets started is how they perceive it to be done. So often you've gone through your first ultrasound and you're like, oh, it's just normal. It's normal that they aren't talking to me. It's normal that they're not telling me blah, 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 or the opposite. It's normal that they tell me everything and that they walk me through. So you're going to have this bar that you've set for yourself in terms of this is what an ultrasound is like. And that can be either really difficult or easy depending on what it's been like. So my first ultrasound was amazing. God bless that woman that was just so kind and walked me through everything. And in honor of all the amazing ultrasound techs, I just wanted to take a sidebar to say thank you. I know that your job is not easy, especially when you're going through any kind of losses or miscarriages and you need to support women through that. It can be really difficult. So thank you. Wherever you are in the world, if you know that you're rocking at your dating ultrasounds, a big, big gratitude moment for you. So I wanted to start with that and also introduce ultrasounds in a way that you can choose to not have them in terms of informed choice. You can choose to have them. So as an example, my first pregnancy, so with Rocky, I wasn't sure when my last period was because I had spotted and it was a bit confusing. So they're like, okay, let's do a dating ultrasound. So I thought that was normal. I thought it was okay, 6 to 7 weeks, you just get one. My second pregnancy with the baby that we had lost, I knew exactly when my last period was. I remember telling the doctor these exact words, and I said, I'm just a little bit anxious. I've had a lot of friends that have had miscarriages in the past year, and I'm a bit worried for this pregnancy. And she said, okay, well, we'll do your first ultrasound at 12 weeks. And I was like, oh, well, with Rocky, I had one at 6 to 7. And she said, we don't need to do that right now because you know when your last period was, and you're going with a midwife. So you're all set. Here you go. You've got your requisition for 12 weeks. At the time, I didn't know that it was something that I could request. I think that it is. It's something that you have a choice to do, and it's still bugging me. I still need to write that doctor and just let her know how it made me feel, especially because we lost that baby, and now looking back, I wish I had just a photo of a blob. A photo of a blob on a screen would have given me a lot of comfort, and maybe hearing the heartbeat for its first and last time would have done a world of wonders for my healing. I still regret it till this day, so I'm very upset that I didn't push that for myself, and I should have, but that's another story. So just know that it is something that you can request if you feel like you need it, and if someone's telling you no, go see someone else. If you feel like you want to have that dating ultrasound and you need to have it early, prenatal anxiety is something that is very high and not always talked about, and if you need that confirmation and you need to be able to have that experience, make it happen for yourself. So I wanted to start off by saying that. So now I'll go through 5 different points. So in terms of prepping for an ultrasound, so when you're calling to book yourself in, I would encourage you, if you feel a bit nervous about your ultrasound, or if you've had one before that was not so great and you want to have one that is great, then request for that to be so. So when you're calling, I would say something like, hi, I've had an ultrasound, not at this location though, or at this location, and I'm a little bit nervous. I just wanted to make sure that the girl that was giving me the ultrasound on this day, or that the tech that was doing my ultrasound on this day, is empathetic and professional. And I've had women on the phone chuckle when I've asked for that. And they're like, okay, well, all of our techs are empathetic and professional. I said, that's great. Who's going to be doing my ultrasound? And they'll give me the name. I said, okay, I've had a really traumatic ultrasound in the past, so I just want to make sure that this one is, whatever. So you can request for that. And if they're not giving you, details of that being able to come to fruition, go to a different place. And also, you can, express that that's something that's very important to you, but you could say something like, if you feel like the person, or let's say they say, oh, Janice is working on Wednesday. If you feel like Janice is very empathetic and kind and will walk me through every step of the ultrasound, then yes, please book me on Wednesday. Like, I know it's so hard to wait when you like are so impatient and you want to get that dating ultrasound done or any other ultrasound, but trust me, if your experience is great, then it could make your entire pregnancy so different. So that's my number one. So number two, I just wrote them down in my prompter here because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss any. So number two, communicate to them that you need a frame up and also to walk you through everything. So I used to work as an example of this, as a consultant, working on large projects across Canada. So we were working with a lot of different communities, and we would be traveling for weeks at a time, introducing myself every time, the project information, asking them questions, and then going through, comments and concerns. And yes, they were the same every single time. I was the same person. It was the same project. It was the same questions. And yeah, by the end of the week, I wanted to skip over some stuff. I wanted to not ask some questions. But the point is that I needed to start at zero. These people have never met me before. They have never heard about this project. They have never been asked the questions. So it is not fair for them to not feel like I am starting from scratch and starting from zero every single time. Yes, it takes energy. It was my job. So you can sense in my tone that I also would love for anyone, for all practitioners, wherever you are in your job, if you're a counselor, it doesn't matter, to do that every single time, because the person that you are serving and that you're helping does not know all of those ins and outs. So communicate to them that you need to be walked through everything and that you need to frame up. So it would look something like this. First of all, I'm always like searching for their eyes because I feel like they aren't looking at me. And I'm like, hi, I just want to take a minute. I'm Tasha. You're Janice? You'll be doing my ultrasound today? I don't know who Janice is, but anyway, she's our ultrasound tech today. So they're like, yeah. And this is like real life example. Okay, well, this isn't my first ultrasound, but I am a bit nervous and I just really love knowing what's going on. So I would really appreciate it, and it would really make me feel good if you could walk me through everything and frame me up on what's going to happen next. And I've had a tech look at me and go, why? And I have her on recording. I will never share it because she didn't consent to this, but I just did it for my own personal reasons. So I said, well, it's really important to me, so I would really appreciate if you could walk me through everything. And she just said, lay on the bed. I was like, okay, this is gonna be fun. So anyway, so I communicated, I took responsibility for that, which made me feel really good. And I think that that's something important. So, even if they're like just punching some buttons or taking some measurements or, just explaining what you're going through, I think is really important. And as a tech as well, you can ask someone, like you don't have to do that every single time, but you can ask someone, is this your first ultrasound, or would you like me to walk you through what's going on? Some people just want it to be quiet maybe. So giving someone that choice, I think, is really important. Number 3, so I really appreciate when I'm being told what I cannot be told. So let me explain. I will admit, honestly, that I have not looked into all of the ins and outs of what techs are allowed to say and not allowed to say. I think the policies in different areas of the world or provinces are probably too different. But what I do know is that they are allowed to say what they can't tell you. So, for instance, it's just like when you're doing a general presentation in school. You usually tell someone what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you've told them. So in an ultrasound appointment, it could be the same thing. So, okay, we're just going to have you sit on the bed here. I'm going to be clicking around. I'll be just taking some measurements. And all I can tell you today is the heartbeat and how far along I think that you are. But anything else you'll go through with your OB or your midwife. So we're not sitting there going like, what the F are they going to tell me? Like, is it bad? Is it good? Is there something there? Is there something not there? Like all of this information. So I've also asked a tech before, and I've said something like, I know that you're not allowed to tell me everything, but I would really appreciate if you can tell me what you're allowed to today. And I know that the rest will be reviewed with my OB or with my doctor or whatever, or my midwife. And hopefully I have had one tech say before, okay, I'm going to tell you this, this, and this, but don't be mad at me if something's wrong, okay? And I was like, cool. So I really appreciate being told what you what you can't be told, because it's part of, like, going back to step number 2, it's part of being framed up. It's part of, like, you know, what I do with Rocky all the time. Like, even when she was little, I'd be like, okay, we're going to go here, and then after we're going to do this. And it's just framing up and helping with communication of envisioning what's going to happen in their lives. So I think that's really important, and you can request that kind of service. So number 4, and this is one that with a lot of clients that I've worked with is a bit of a shock, I guess, but sometimes you do a transvaginal ultrasound when it's too early and they can't tell anything from using just being on top of your stomach. So the first time I had this done, I was nervous. I was like, oh, there's something wrong because they have to go inside me now. It's not, you know, old enough or big enough to see from the outside. No, sometimes that's not the case. It's just the way that your uterus is formed, or it's the way that, you know, maybe how far along you are is nothing directly correlated to the health of the baby. And so, like, it's just for myself, all the ultrasounds I've had early in the beginning, they've had to do that. So I knew that it was the norm, but upon talking with other women, they were like, no, I've never had that done. Oh my gosh. Or yeah, they recommended that and then I got freaked out. So sometimes it happens. And I just want to say, all that water that they make you drink, pee first before they do that transvaginal ultrasound. I've had techs say, okay, you want to just go empty your bladder, it's going to be much more comfortable for you. And I've had techs that have not given me that option. So I was like, hold on, I'm just going to go to the bathroom, because I knew, and then say, and then I'll come back and you can do the transvaginal ultrasound. So that's my 4th thing, because it is so uncomfortable that when you have to pee and you can't. So that's something, if you didn't know, that you could do that. And number 5 is photos. I know that, man, I've had techs tell me, like, yes, we can hear the heartbeat today, or no, I don't like to put the Doppler that close, or, you know, whatever, early on. I think from what most techs have told me that it's not the best to be able to put the Doppler to hear the heartbeat early on, but you can see enough of it, you can see the flicker. But again, I don't know what's always normal, because I feel like it's always different for me. But that's something that you can ask about when you're there. Am I going to be able to, you know, will we get to see? Blah, blah, blah. So it's not done and they come out of you if you're doing transvaginal and you're like, oh, I wanted to know, blah, blah, blah. So photos, I think, is really important. And also, at what point can your partner come in? So I've had texts. I'll start with the first thing in terms of photos. So I had photos for Rocky at 6 to 7 weeks. And when I asked about another ultrasound, they were like, oh, no, we don't do it that early. I'm like, I thought that you did. I've had them before. And they're like, no, we don't like to take photos that early. Okay, well, I'm going to grab my iPhone. And I took some photos, like, of the screen, because that was important to me. So you can also do that, or request to do that, or ask if you're going to have the opportunity before you get in there. And then this is part of the frame up, I guess, but also ask at what point your partner can come in. So I've had an ultrasound with Rocky that was, she explained everything to me again. She was so lovely, like, props to the Collingwood, Wasaga tech people. So she said, okay, so I'm just going to do, like, blah, 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 and then we'll call your partner in, okay? And then we'll explain everything to him again. And I was like, great, that made total sense. Now, another ultrasound I've had, they did their whole spiel, and then they took the wand out of me, and they were like, okay, you can get dressed. And I was like, my partner can't come in? They were like, nope. I'm like, So that's also a regret that I have, is not having my partner by my side, because that was the miscarriage that we lost, and that was tragic. And it was terrible. It was like in a hallway behind a curtain. Anyway, so that's something else that I would ask as well. So all in all, I hope that this helps. I would love to hear your ultrasound stories. I know that they can be great, they can be not so great, but I think that we do have to take responsibility to be able to kind of speak up for ourselves and tell them what we want and what we need in that ultrasound. So if you resonate with any of these, please like this video and comment below, and subscribe if you want to hear more videos as well on a weekly basis. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. And before I leave, I'm including a link below to a freebie that's how to establish self-care, because I think that's really important when we're going through pregnancy. You can also get it at tasharobitaille.com/self-care. I'll talk to you guys very soon. Bye for now.